I met a gypsy.
The other thing about our sport that I don't think people like, they just see the guy the day of, like, just go perform, right? But it's so much more underneath the layers of it all. I mean, it goes down to, I mean, even to the point, and like, are you and your girlfriend getting along? You know, what's stressing you out? Yeah, I mean, there's all these factors, like how's your training, how you feel about your bike. Are you testing before? Are you trying stuff the day of? Like, are you comfortable on the bike? I mean, there's so many things that go into like a guy really executing and performing. But if you do the homework and do it upright, and you know, the rider, you manage all that stuff properly, and the team does their work, and you know, you guys, you know, land in a good spot. I guess what I'm saying, there's just so many pieces.
It's a huge recipe.
Yeah, it's not like you just show up and go win a race, and there's things that nag at you and that can like make or break you on a day, and not to let that. It's just, there's a lot more in depth that I don't think a lot of people really understand unless you've raced and kind of done it. But yeah.
I think one of the things I've seen in the last couple of years that it kind of like bugs me from a fan perspective is I feel like nowadays we've had all these examples of guys that are just like so fast, and the fast guy wins. And now it's almost like you think with like a guy like Chase or Eli, or, you know, it seems like at times, or Kenny, and I just don't mean this in any disrespectful way at all, but it's like, it seems like, oh, I'm not the fastest guy. Okay, cool. Tonight's not my night. And it's like, I just feel like you were one of those guys where you could go to the line and have a winning expectation of yourself, even if you weren't the fastest guy. And I think Coop is a pretty amazing example of that. But it's like, I don't know whether you think the same or if I'm off base, but it's like, I feel like that whole mentality of like, I can win this race no matter what. It seems like that isn't as prevalent in the sport nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, I see that sometimes too. I know what you're talking about. But I guess as a rider, like, I don't, you know, even if I was a second off, I still like, I had to go to the line. I shouldn't say had to, but like, I went to the line still believing like I can win. And if it's not my night, it's not my night, but at least I'm going to go out there and try to win. I don't know how you would
not do that.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know how you would not do that. Yeah.
But I just think, you know, it feels that way sometimes, to where it's like, if I'm like you can see the nights where, you know, for example, Kenny, it's like, he just goes, this is a night I can win.
Yeah.
And then he'll do it.
Yeah.
And then it's like you know, you go to another and it's like, no, this isn't, I'm not the fastest. I don't feel it. But it's like, hey, did we forget about all of these people that have just won? Like, every time Ricky went to the line, he wasn't the fastest against James.
Yeah.
Every race that Chad won.
Yeah.
Where he was against James or Ricky. Like, I mean, there's not many times where Chad would be like, I was straight up faster than James and Ricky, but he beat him.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, there's such a huge part of the sport where like we have these champions that did that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think there's this era where it's like, if the bike's not, the bike's not perfect. But then you look at like a ride from Coop in Seattle. One of my favorite moments from this Supercross season was Ricky Carmichael saying that Cooper Webb had arm pump.
Yeah.
Remember he called that?
Yeah. You could see he was right. Yep.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't see that the way Ricky did, right?
I personally didn't pick up on that right away either. But then after he said that, I was like, he's right. Yeah, I could see it.
And how fucking cool is it that Cooper Webb won that race?
Yeah.
With that level of arm pump. And once Ricky called it out, it was like, dude, he's hanging on for dear life.
Yeah.
Like, he is barely out there. And if he didn't win that race, he would have got sixth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's like the level at which he was like failing his body, essentially, you know?
Yeah,
and like, to that guy. And I think that there's all of these guys are capable of putting in those performances, you know, but it's like, there's obviously like a gnarly mentality, and just Coop's that guy.
Yeah.
You know, Coop just has that, and maybe it's because he spent his whole life not being the fastest. that he has this like database to pull from of like, I can still win even when I'm not the fastest.
Well, I mean, and too, I think you have to believe that you can, if that's your goal, if you're a championship contender, right? Like, I think you have to believe if you don't believe you can win, I don't know how to put it, but it's like it's kind of like a betrayal to yourself. Like you're like, I don't know, you don't believe in yourself. I guess I just don't think you can go to the line without, you have to believe you can win. And even if you're not the best guy that night, even if you're a little off, because the thing is, the track changes so much from practice to the race. As far as like it's destroyed in practice, and it does get rough in the race, but it starts out smoother, and it's like you're not as far. You know, you can bridge that gap or get a good start. And even the fact that the guy doesn't get a good start, that's faster than you. He's buried in the pack. Like, you're out front. Like, put yourself in a good. Like, you still have to believe you can win, and if you don't, then it's like the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
As far as being a championship contender.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.